Hello everybody, my name is Jennifer Maker. Today we are making Cricut tool benches on the Great Maker Show and Tell. When I first began sharing my craft projects with everybody just over about 2 years ago, I made this very sweet and simple craft tool organizer. It is nothing more than a cute little basket with some paper towel tubes that I cut to various lengths. It literally took me 5 minutes, and it stayed right by my side all of this time, holding and organizing all of my tools and markers and scissors and everything. Well, these days I have more craft tools, especially tools for my cutting machines. I have scoring tools, scrapers, weeding tools, Cricut pens, and many more. And with the Cricut Maker, I now have many different blades and tool housings as well. I was using so many of them that they weren't even fitting in the front compartment, the built-in storage compartment on my Cricut. That's when I knew that it was time to make a new craft tool organizer. So I present my Cricut tool bench with lots of room for all of my Cricut tools and blades and plenty of room to grow. There are spots in the front for all of the blades and tool housings, with 2 spots in the back, a wee bit larger to fit the new scoring tools, and there are even 2 small spots in the front for the scoring heads, because you don't want to lose those, right? They're very small. Along the sides, I've got spots for the Cricut scrapers and the paper edge distressors, and nice strong tubes in the middle to hold all of my long tools, like my weeding tool, my quilling tools, spatulas, my true control knife, my Cricut markers, and my fabric marking pens. And these tubes that you see here, they are nothing more than leftover tubes that you get when you use up a roll of Cricut vinyl, right? So this vinyl, just like this. And this is, usually we just recycle these, and this is a great way to reuse them. They're strong and sturdy, and if you don't have one of these tubes, paper towel tubes fit in there as well. In fact, these tubes are the secret to the stability of my Cricut tool bench. You see, I wanted to make a tool organizer that can be made by those who had either a Cricut Maker or a Cricut Explorer, as many of the other tool organizers that I've seen are only for those with a Maker. So by using these nice strong tubes to help support our tool bench, we can make this on either cutting machine. The base material that you use will be a little bit different. So on the Maker, we're using heavy chipboard, 2 millimeters thick. And on the Explorer, we're using craft board, 3 layers of it. And you could use a thinner chipboard on your Explorer as well, but it can get a little tricky and may require the deep cut blade. But for the craft board, the deep cut blade is not needed, just a fine point blade that comes with your machine. So nice and easy, right? And in addition to your base material, you'll need some hot glue to assemble it. And decorating it is up to you. You can leave it plain, like this, nice and sweet and simple, or you can add an outer layer for a little pizzazz. The pink one is made on my Explorer, and it has an outer layer of the pink foil craft board. And I made this blue one on my Maker, and it has an outer layer of iron-on glitter vinyl to dress it up. And I'll show you how to do both in this video. The full materials list and where to get everything is linked below this video. And the free pattern for my tool bench is on my blog at jennifermaker.com. So let's head on over there now so I can show you where to find it, and then we will get underway. All right, so the first thing that you want to do is get the tool bench pattern over on my blog at jennifermaker.com. And you don't have the password for that yet, you can always get it at the bottom of my posts. You subscribe to my newsletter, which is free, and the perk is that you get access to my free library of SVG files and patterns. And once you're in there, you can just click on Enter the Free Resource Library, type in your password, click Enter, and you will get the entire list of all of my free stuff. Look for the Cricut Craft Tool Bench SVG and click on it, and it will download. And once it's downloaded, you want to open it. Okay? And inside that file, which is a zip file, but if you need any help with decompressing, and I have a whole tutorial on that, you want to look for the SVG file. Now let's cut out the materials. So head on over to Cricut Design Space, click on New Project, and then click on Upload over on the left. Click Upload Image, click Browse, and then go find that SVG file that you just downloaded, and it'll say SVG on the end. Select it, click Open, and the file will be there, and go ahead and click Save. So we want to go ahead and click this and click on Insert Images to put it onto our canvas. And here it is. Let's make this a little smaller so we can see the full thing. Now, it's really ready to go. If you were to click Make It right now, however, it will attempt to put the pieces onto like 5 mats. Really inefficient. So instead, I want you to ungroup everything and then select just the yellow layer and click Attach, and the blue layers and click Attach. Now, if you click Make It, it's all into just 2 mats. Nice and easy, right? Now, so that you understand, the yellow is your structure, so your craft board or your chipboard. The blue is the covering. So if you choose to do the foil craft board to cover it the way I did my pink one, you'll cut that foil out of the blue layer. And if you choose to do iron-on glitter vinyl like I did for my blue one, you'll cut that from the blue layer as well, right? So the covering is the blue layer and the base layer is the yellow layer. All right, so let me show you cutting it on the Explorer. So I'm going to choose my Explorer, and we're going to go over and click on our base layer, which is the yellow one again. Click Browse All Materials, and we're going to cut it from craft board, which is an option. It shows up right there. Change your pressure to more, and you just use a regular fine point blade for a craft board on the Explorer. But if you have any issues getting it to cut all the way through, as I did the first time I did it, this is what you do. You go ahead and cancel out your cut, and you're going to click on the 3 lines up in the icon in the upper left corner and click Manage Custom Materials. Choose your Explorer, and you're going to look for the craft board setting. So I just searched for a craft and it shows up. Click on Edit. Change your settings to match mine. So pressure 315, cut 3 times, and save that. Now try cutting it again. This worked really well for me, for both the regular craft board and the foil craft board. Now, if you choose to cut this on your maker, you're probably going to want to use heavy chipboard, which is what I used. So you just search for heavy chipboard. It'll come right up and you select that. Now note that it says that you need to have your star wheels all the way to the right and use your knife blade. So we'll be doing that. So when you cut out chipboard, you have to tape it to your mat, just as I've done here. And make sure that those star wheels, right now they're all the way over on the right side, but they need to be pushed over. Otherwise, they'll leave indents in your chipboard, right? And then the knife blade is installed. Once everything is good to go, you can go ahead and start cutting it. It took about 45 minutes for me to cut this pattern from chipboard. So just this one layer was 45 minutes. And really, it's the kind of thing you want to keep an eye on, because sometimes it does finish a little earlier. And you can usually tell by pausing it and then lifting up a corner to see if it's cut all the way through. If you decide to do that Cricut iron-on vinyl, make sure that you remember that iron-on vinyl is always cut with the shiny side down, so face down, right? So when you put it on your mat, you want to put it shiny side face down, just as I'm doing here. And always be sure to mirror your iron-on vinyl so that it, because you were cutting it reverse, right? So you got to mirror it. So you flip it over and you mirror it when you cut it. So here we go. Here is my vinyl that I have put shiny side face down on my mat, and I have mirrored it, and I have put my fine point blade back into my maker to cut it out. Now the first part of assembling is really to get your tubes cut to the right length. So just go find some Cricut vinyl that you have, and you'll look inside and you'll see that it has these awesome tubes. It's okay to take your vinyl off your tube even if you haven't used it yet. I did that. If you don't have Cricut vinyl, don't use it. You could use a paper towel tube. It won't be as strong. Just keep that in mind, but it's about the same size. So what I suggest that you do for this is to cut one length at 4 inches, 2 lengths at 3.5, and 2 at 3 inches. So to do this, you want to mark them with a pen. This is the way I found that worked best. So mark 4 inches in and draw a line all the way around the circumference of the tube at the point that you want to mark. Once it's marked, take a Cricut True Control knife or an X-Acto knife or a utility knife or whatever you have and cut it. And if you roll it away from yourself like this, it's a lot easier to get a straight, clean line. And you just want to do this for all 5 of your tubes. So remember, it's 4 inches, 1 4-inch, 2 3.5, and 2 3 inches. And of course, you can use different sizes if you prefer. I found that those are the sizes that worked and looked the best. Now I needed 2 tubes to get the 5 tubes that I needed for this. I did experiment with trying to find a way to use 1 tube to get all 5 tubes, but I couldn't quite do it because you really need your tube to stand above, to be taller than your tool bench for it to work properly and give the support that you need. If you find a way to do it, please share. All right, so here's all 5. Now you can decorate them with paint, or you could just use some washi tape to put around the top. All right, so step 4 is actually assembling your tool bench. We're going to do the craft board version that you can do on the Explorer first. So here is the foil craft board that I cut out on my Cricut. Remember, when you take things off your mat, flip the mat over and pull the mat away from your material so that it doesn't want to, curve or curl on you. And you only need to cut out the top layer of your craft board with this craft foil. If you choose to use it at all, you don't have to. You don't want to cut the other layers from the foil board because it'll be harder to glue because it's foil, right? So the other 2 layers can be just plain regular craft board, which is what I used. And you'll want to take out all of the centers until you have pieces that look like this. Those skinny little pieces, you're going to want to keep those. Now pay attention to the sides here. They will go on and attach to the rest of your tool bench in a very particular way, which I will explain in a little bit. But for now, orient them the way that I have done here. And here are the other layers that I've cut from the craft board, and we are going to layer them together. So 2 layers of regular craft board, 1 layer of foil craft board. Make sure everything matches up. And I'm going to use spray adhesive, permanent spray adhesive, to attach these layers together. The best way to do that is to spray the top layer with the foil and 1 of the other layers. And then you can attach all 3 together easily without having spray adhesive anywhere that you don't want it. Remember to spray using a spray box, which I've explained in earlier videos. All right, so here is the top of my tool bench, and we're going to do the same thing for all the other layers. So the reason that I'm using 3 layers of craft board, in case it's not really obvious, is that it's going to give us the strength that we need. I did not feel that just 1 layer of craft board was going to hold up for very long, even with the support tubes. Once I started putting tools in there, it would sag, and that told me that it was just not strong enough. So we're going to use 3 and make sure that it is. All right, so now we have all of our pieces layered, and now it's time to start attaching the parts of our tool bench. You want to put the sides on just as I'm showing here, and it's important because it won't really fit together the same way. And then we're going to center each of the sides onto the top, just as I'm doing here. So I'm putting a line of hot glue, and then it goes right on there, right in the center, and you will notice it is shorter. And then the 2 sides, so center it along that side. It's shorter so that we can fit all the pieces together and have them look right. So that's what that side looks like. And we're going to do the same thing, a bead of hot glue along the side, and then center the leg. Just make sure you're putting that, basically the little finger hold points to the corner that you want it to be, attaching to, so that you'll see that there's a corner in that, and then it points to the right way. I did that hoping that it would help you remember which way to do it. And then we're going to do the front, and we put glue along the 2 sides, right along the bottom there, and then up the next side, and set that in there. Make sure everything is lining up, and press and hold the hot glue while it sets. If we do it right, everything will fit just the way that it ought to. See? So now everything is fitting in here. Now these little bits here are to cover up the edges if you want. You certainly don't have to do that. I thought it might make it look really polished if I did that. And use glue for this, not spray adhesive. It's not really strong enough. Use glue instead. It just goes right along the edge of your layers of craft board to cover them up and make it look a little cooler, I suppose. And just follow exactly the way I'm doing it here. So your top layer has edging all around it, and the front and the back panels have edging, but the side panels have no edging because they're actually completely covered by the top and the sides. And I did that on purpose to provide better support, because the weight of the tools then would be pressing down on the side supports, and we'd be less likely to break or bend or fold or whatever. You could even do these in contrasting colors. That might look kind of cool, huh? All right, so you don't want to do the back panel, however, yet. You will eventually do the back panel. For now, leave the back panel off because the next step is to insert our tubes, and we want to have nice and easy access to that. So let's put our tubes in. Now I've decorated these tubes by simply putting some washi tape at the top, and you just slide them in from the top until they reach the bottom. And then you turn it over. You want to hold it in place just in case it's a little wobbly. And you just need to put enough hot glue so that it will stay in position and provide support between the top of your tool bench and the tubes themselves. It'll be difficult to get it all around the tube, and that's okay. Just get as much as you can. Always make sure, as the glue is setting, always turn it over and make sure that it didn't move out of position, because you'll have a little wiggle room before it sets completely. You want to make sure the sides of your tool bench are always touching the ground, but the tubes are also touching the ground because they are important for the support of this. You'll see that one is a little bit off right there, but I'm going to wiggle it and put it into position before it sets. See? There we go. So everything is in position. And if you want, you can go back and you can put a little extra glue on. And then you want to hot glue the back of your tool bench back panel on as well. And we do it the same way we did the front. So we put hot glue along the sides, the bottom of the top layer, and press and hold into position. All right, so those circles that you pulled out, you're actually going to want to use them, because if you put them on the bottom of your tubes, that means that you can pick up your Cricut tool bench without worrying about anything falling out. See? So you just hot glue them in the bottom. I did it so that we could see the pretty side when we look down into the tube, but you can do whatever you'd like. All right, well now we can start putting tools in it, because that's it. It's all assembled. I've put my long tools in the tubes, and I put my scrapers in the slots, and then I put all of my my blade housings in the various circles. Now keep in mind that the two slots in the back for the blade housings are a little bigger, and so that you could fit the Cricut scoring tools in there, because the tip is a little larger. But they'll also fit all of the Cricut tools, right? All of these blades. So if you don't even have the scoring tool, it's no issues. You can still use it. And there we go. We have an awesome Cricut tool bench made on the Explorer. All right, so if you're making yours from chipboard on the Maker, here's how to assemble that. So here is my chipboard that I cut on my Maker, and it didn't quite cut all the way through. I took it off a little bit too early because I was impatient. But it's no big deal. I just used my knife to trim the little bits that didn't want to come off on their own. All right, so there's all of our pieces, and here is my iron-on vinyl. Now we're going to want to remove all of the parts that we're not going to be using. So I just pulled it off, and read your vinyl, get everything you're not going to use off. And then you cut it into parts so that you have each individual piece on its separate carrier sheet. And you want to be sure to weed all of the little bits out of the top level, the top layer, little circles and then such. All right, so there we go. Now we have all our pieces. Now it's time to iron it onto our chipboard. I'm going to use my Easy Press. You could also use an iron. You could also use a craft iron, a smaller one as well. Whatever you have is going to be fine, really. So for my Easy Press, I'm going to set it to 330 degrees for about 20 to 30 seconds. Now to do this, I recommend that you preheat your chipboard for just a 10-15 seconds. And then place your vinyl on top of it. Make sure it's really well positioned. You're not going to have a lot of the carrier sheet to stick down onto it. So I used parchment paper to sort of keep it in position. And then when you've done that, flip it over and do it again, hit it again, the other side for like 10 seconds. And the Cricut glitter iron-on vinyl is a warm peel. So once it's cooled off enough for you to handle it, you can go ahead and lift off the carrier sheet and it sticks. Isn't that cool? Now to do the sides, I use this tiny little craft iron I have. You can use whatever you have, though your Easy Press is just going to be too big to handle something this delicate. So you're going to want something smaller if you do this, if you decide to do the little sides. I got this little craft iron in the quilting section at my local craft store. It's actually pretty awesome. I really like it. So you just hold that edging in place and you iron it down. All right, so here's our top piece. Make sure you're doing it so that the glitter lines up. I do have it set to be, pretty much the same, but just in case, just make sure it lines up. So preheat it initially. And then put your glitter on top. Make sure it's lined up well. Put your piece of parchment paper over it. And then press it. Again, I did 330 degrees for 20 seconds. And turn over one more and hit it again for just like 10 seconds. And again, wait till it's cooled off just enough and then you can peel it as it's warm. And if you're at all concerned about it warping a little bit, because it might warp just a little bit with the heat, you can put it under a stack of your paper pads, which you probably have, or a stack of books or whatever, and let it cool there and it'll straighten out pretty well. I didn't really have too many issues. And then put your sides on. So remember, the top layer of your Cricut tool bench gets the edging on all 4 of its sides, and your front panel and your back panel get edging along its 2 short sides, but the side panels don't have any edging because of the way that we construct and assemble this. So there we go. That is our top layer, and it's got edging all around it. Looks pretty spiffy, doesn't it? All right, so here are all of our pieces, and it's time for us to assemble it, and we're going to use hot glue. Now the sides get put on a very particular way. Note where the sharp corner is on these and put them in the same orientation that I'm doing. And then a line of hot glue on the underside of your top layer and hold it in place. You'll note that the side is not as long as the top, and that's on purpose. So just center it in there. And then your front layer, you just put hot glue along the sides and line the underside of the top layer and press and hold everything in place so that it glues in the right position. So there we go. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? So now it's time to put it on our tubes. I spray painted these with a silver metallic paint, and you just put them into position, and then you hot glue them from the bottom, and then immediately turn it over and make sure that it's in the right spot before the glue sets, right? You want to make sure that the sides of your Cricut tool bench are always touching the ground, and that your tubes are touching the ground as well, so that everything, is at the same plane at the bottom. So just go one by one, and that's really, I think, the best way of doing it. And if you have to, you can adjust before the glue sets. And then we take the circles from left over from when we cut out our chipboard, and we just glue them to the bottom. And this then allows us to move our Cricut tool bench around without our tools falling out. There we go. And if you want to put a little extra glue on your tubes at this point, you feel free to do that. Otherwise, go ahead and put your back panel on if it's very similar to the front panel. Hold everything in place until the glue sets, and that's it. Awesome, huh? Now let's fill it up. Now, when I told everybody in my Facebook group about this project, I got a number of questions about what the various things in my Cricut tool bench were. So I promised that I would explain each of the blades and the housings and the tools and everything so that you have an idea. So here's my pink Cricut tool bench all filled up. Let me show you what I have here. The corners here are the alternate scoring heads for my Cricut scoring tool, which is not this one, that's my rotary blade. This one here, so you can change the head if you get a double scoring tool for different depths of scoring, and that scoring tool fits right in that back spot. This is my rotary tool for cutting fabric and things like crepe paper. I use that on my maker. This is my knife tool, also for my maker. All these ones with the gold gears work on the maker. This is another scoring tool. And this is another knife blade. I have some extras. In the front here, this is my fine point blade for my Explorer. So, see there. The pink one is the bonded fabric blade, also for the Explorer. The black one is the deep cut blade. And this gold one here is, it's also a fine point blade. It just has a gold colored housing instead of a silver one. It's the same. As far as I can tell, it's exactly the same. I picked it up recently because it's been like a year and a half or 2 years since I changed my blade, and I thought, why not have a backup? And then I've got my Cricut tweezers in here. I have 3 different kinds from various sets that I have. That's useful when you're weeding and doing small projects. I have my piercing tool, my Cricut scissors. I like these because they have a little case on the end. My True Control knife, my spatula. This is a weeding tool. I actually have 2 of these. The one on the left is old. The one on the right is new. The point on the old one was getting a little dull. And I have my cooling tool here on the right and my scoring stylus on the left. I use the scoring stylus mostly in my Explorer. And then I have a bunch of markers, my fabric marking pen, and a variety of Cricut pens of different thicknesses. And along the sides are my scrapers. The one on the left is really old. The one on the right is new. And then my big extra large scraper. I love this thing. It's great. And those are my tools on my Cricut tool bench. Isn't this cool? It's so pretty. I love it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I love that I can make something so sturdy on my Explorer. My Maker, no problem. It's strong and it can make chipboard. But my Explorer is also awesome and it can do amazing things as well. One of the things I just love about these Cricut tool benches is how surprisingly sturdy they are. This blue one is like rock solid thanks to the heavy chipboard, and even the layer of iron-on glitter seems to make a difference. And the pink one gets its strength from its tubes, right? And you can put a surprising amount of stuff inside. Both can be lifted up and moved around without worrying that you're going to lose everything in it. Super easy, little handholds on the side. And I can think of so many fun ways to decorate these. I use glitter and foil, but you could also paint them or cover them with washi paper or adhesive vinyl. You can also make these from some different materials. A couple layers of basswood would work, for example, on your maker. You could also use a couple layers of lighter chipboard. For example, this is like not this one, 1.5 millimeter chipboard. Cardstock is going to be too light though. And I'm hoping to see lots and lots of people make these tool benches and personalize the panel on the front with your name or some cute pictures or just even the word Cricut tool bench. And be sure to share your photos. I love to see what you make. So that's it for today. Remember, if you can tell me what you want to make, I can show you how to make it. And remember, if you want to send me your ideas, you can come on over to my Facebook group, which is amazing, by the way. I just love this group. And you're going to find, besides me, you're going to also find a whole community of crafters just like you who are sharing their ideas and helping one another. You'll find us at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters. Until next time.